So we all know the Egyptian god cards, right? Slifer, the sky dragon, Obelisk, the tormentor, and the winged dragon of Ra. These guys are so iconic that even people who don't play or know Yu-Gi-Oh! Have likely at least heard of this trio. They are pretty much the crux of the entire original series, rivaled in recognizability only by the likes of Blue Eyes White Dragon and maybe the Dark Magicians. Here's the thing, though. For as cool and imposing as they are, these three are not Egyptian gods. Despite the show's claims, they are completely made up monsters meant to fit into this weird fictionalized version of ancient Egypt. Now, don't worry. This video isn't going to be me going into some rant about cultural appropriation, but I do still think that this is a topic worth talking about. I mean, obelisk is the name of a type of monument and not a deity. Ra never had a winged dragon in any version of the mythos I'm familiar with, and Slifer is a German surname apparently taken from a 4Kids executive. The Egyptian god cards are, at best, surface level references to the mythology that they're meant to represent, and even then, only two of them actually try. Here's the thing, though. Would you be at all surprised to know that the original Japanese names of these cards are radically different? Big shocker, I know. Okay, well, the Winged Dragon of Ra is still more or less the same between the Eastern and Western releases, but the other two got changed radically during the localization process. For example, in the Japanese version, Obelisk is not meant to be this god's name. Rather, his name is something more akin to Divine Soldier of the Obelisk. This seems to imply that the big blue scary man we see here is actually a nameless entity who simply fights on behalf of. Well, an obelisk was a monument made to honor the gods and dead kings of ancient Egypt, so I guess the idea is that this guy just fought on behalf of the divine. Slifer, meanwhile, got radically overhauled in the English localization. His canonical name is Sky Dragon of Osiris, with Osiris being the god of the underworld. So, okay, I think I'm starting to see a pattern here. Ra, god of the sun and sky, and Osiris, god of the underworld and the dead, each have their own pet dragons in Yu-Gi-Oh's mythos. Meanwhile, I guess the rest of the Egyptian pantheon just has this big blue angry dude that they can send to fight on their behalf. In other words, the Egyptian god cards are not meant to be the Egyptian gods themselves, but rather dual monsters that serve the gods, sacred beasts who obey Ra, Osiris, and the rest of the pantheon. While it does still play a little loose with the mythology, the original names for this trio definitely establish a clearer theme than what we got here in the West. That said, I do still think it could have been feasible to just make them actual Egyptian gods to begin with. Slifer could have been Apep the Sky Serpent, a giant snake that constantly tries to eat the sun. Obelisk feels like he could have just been Osiris the Tormentor, considering that Osiris rules over and judges souls. Lastly, the winged dragon of Ra could have maybe been God Pharaoh Amun-Ra or something like that. I don't know. I guess it just bugs me that the three Egyptian god cards have next to nothing to do with the mythology they're supposed to be references from, at least here in the English version. Meanwhile, the Norse god cards introduced in 5Ds just straight up have Odin, Thor, and Loki, without any weird localization nonsense getting in the way. But what do you all think? Do you wish the Egyptian god cards did more to pay homage to their roots? Or am I making this out to be a bigger deal than it really is? Leave your thoughts and comments down below, and until next time, stay bright.